and welcome to Degen Digest.
Oh man, this is first. Starting off with the gong.
With the gong rising, that was like epic.
That's how we do it. Well, we're stoked to be back here again, and we are welcoming our friend from the Neo Tokyo AMA team, Nick Cryptoetheus. Glad to have you on.
Stoked to be here. Good day to be talking about some gaming. Thank you guys for having me.
Right on. Well, we got plenty to talk about. We're going to talk about all the news. We're going to look at the market, see what moves people might want to be jumping in on, the trends, what's happening here. And at the end, we're going to do some deep dive into Pulsar, one of the latest crypto games that's been making some good moves. And Cryptoetheus is going to show us around on that one and also give us some more insights to how he's playing the whole play to earn and farming world in the crypto gaming scene. So looking forward to that. Why don't we jump right in? And Shamsi, why don't you show us what's happening in the markets or some plays that you're looking at?
All right. So what is happening in the market is pandemonium. This is today. Okay, hold on. Just checking if this camera's on because you need to look at me when I'm telling you this. Today, I'm putting my balls on the line, and I'm telling you guys that I am monkey mode bullish. This is Shamsi being monkey mode bullish, and but we just said this before. I've said this before. The market rewards unparalleled conviction, and I'm unparalleled bullish. If that makes sense. Look. Here's what we got right now. Not really conventional in terms of the TA, but you guys don't like conventional, so let me not give you that. For the traders out there who are looking for a play similar to Beam, which pumped up about 74% right before it broke up above the 23.5 resistance level, we're looking at Say. Now, do I know anything about Say? Fuck no. Have I been trading it and making a good load of money? Hell yes. So that's exactly what I'm pushing for right now. We can reject at the 87-cent level. Doesn't really matter because when we see that push up, we are in price discovery mode. Previously, when Say has been in price discovery mode, I mean, we've gone anywhere from 100 to 230% profits, which is very, very good. Similar to what I've seen in Beam. So just wanted to put that out there for anybody who is serious about trading, or even if you're not, go out there and make some money. I do want to cover one thing, though, that maybe as you know, maybe a bit of a wank hand moment. But I told you guys to buy some Chainlink. Now, I'm not telling you to buy more Chainlink, but I have to say that we told you to buy Chainlink on around the 8th of Feb, the 7th of Feb, and it went up a cool 14%. Like I said, throw some leverage on there, and you're making wife-changing, life-changing, girlfriend-changing money. So that's that. One of the narratives that we're going to get into later in the video, so I'm going to stop in just a second, is Superfarm, because Elio Trades is onto something crazy, and when Elio gets on his PR shit, you know things are going down. So Superfarm is on a rip right now. In the last less than 10 days, it's up nearly 100%, which is fucking bonkers, and we haven't even cleared any mainstream hurdles yet. So it is up only for a lot of coins, and I know maybe I'm marking the top here. I don't really care, but I feel like this is the time when it's balls on the line and Shamsi is bullish. So come for me, bears. KSI Crypto, if you're bullish, I don't care. Come for me. So that's what I got for today. What about you guys? What do you think? What's happening in the market? Are you guys bullish? Are you guys bearish? Do you think we're going to see a bit of a correction? Do we not care? Are we just packing up the spot bags and going to the moon? What's happening?
Yeah, let's get our guest to tell us what's up, man. You know, Nick has all those conversations. He's been killing it over there at the AMA team. What you got for us, brother?
Well, to start with Super having just been the most recent up there on the chart, I'm green with envy. So missed the entire Super run. Didn't end up getting a bag. Just was like one of those classic things. It was written on my to-do list and I never ended up pulling the trigger. Super stoked for what Elio's building over there. Really exciting, all the partnerships and such. What I was able to pack bag wise, ended up with a good sort of collection of crypto coins. Beam, I did not miss. So very excited about watching what they've been doing. We were just talking with Castle of Blackwater earlier today. They're building on Beam. They are certainly not alone. So very excited to see the building going on there. And they seem to be sort of within the eye of Sauron, this system where, new IMX, new this, a little bit of more of a positive light maybe than what Eye of Sauron brings, but certainly everybody's watching it. Just excited. I mean, Bitcoin going up over 50K, the ETH, like sort of ETF, those rumors flying around, that's got everybody excited in the alt market. So, I'm thankful that I was able to pack my bags early before this whole show started. And so I'm just sort of sitting on my hands. When we got the big pullback, I just sort of like hung out. There was like one play I had like sort of early on that did some serious gains where I locked in some profits. So I'm just happily watching where the market goes, not feeling overextended, but definitely, packed with some upside.
Hell yeah.
Good stuff, man. I just wanted to take a look at this. You saw Becker's recent tweet there. If you bought crypto in the last year, you have 2 jobs for the rest of the year. Don't sell and post extremely immature things on Twitter. That's it. That's the game. Play it well. Well, I think that's a good way to look at it. At the same time, it's like 50K Bitcoin. Does anybody else feel like 50K is 100K is the new 50K? Like, 50K. We're at 50K. Last time we were at 50K, everybody's freaking out. Everybody's jumping in with their grandma. Now it's like nobody's even talking about it. And it's just getting started. It has that feeling. Like once we get all-time highs, then we should start talking. I think 100K is really when we're going to see the madness. So he says don't sell. I would only think that this might be a time to just, skim a little off the top if you're wanting to fill your bags a little more, right? Skim a little off and then jump in right after. You disagree with me?
No, sir. I'm in Terminator mode. I am in Terminator mode. Do not skim off anything. I feel like, and I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't care. I'll buy more or lower. Look, we are currently what I like to refer to the girls of my city. The girls in my city are what I like to call ungrateful. And that's usually what we're at right now. 50K is the new 20K in my opinion. Look, I'm still buying. There's so many new coins popping up. Beam, I'm buying Beam. Super, I'm buying Super. Solana, I'm still buying Solana. I'm still buying mainstream Solana. If I go in deep into the Solana chain, I'm still buying Solana because I think it's going to go up still. And I'm not trying to be that guy who says a 3x or a 4x is not enough, because that's me again being ungrateful. So me buying at 50K, I think it's still pretty good. The mainstream narrative, like you said, doesn't start at 100K. It's a nice round number, so it's all fair play. And I don't think you should be holding back. Obviously, not financial advice, but get on the field now. This is all we've been praying for the last 2 years. So hop on, and now is not the time to hold off. Now is the time to just beam on with your Terminator glasses and just go full speed.
Coin price higher, but would you? Coin price higher. I don't know. I'm saying like there might be an opportunity to take, if you want to get more, take a little off and then put it back in with a little pullback. That's all I was saying. If you want a little more. But whatever, we'll see. Next week we'll be back and we'll see if if I might be right or if you should be still listening to the Terminator. But would you? Anything to add?
I mean, I would just say it really just depends on who you are, your strategies, and what you think you're best suited for. If you're not a trader, then don't trade. Believe in something. It's the time to believe, baby. I was able to pick up OTK, which is a gaming project on Solana, around like 0.01 cents. And it just hit like 9 cents today. And I've been so hyped and I've just been like, let's go. But I truly believe it's going much, much higher when you dig into the project, right? And so same with like Nosana, was able to grab some Nosana AI play on Solana around like 30 cents. And it just hit like $3 the other day. And so it's kind of like, if you're not a trader, if you don't have a game plan for those funds, then believe in your bags, especially if you're convicted in them. Now, if you just followed, some degens as you were digesting what they were talking about, then yeah, maybe take some profits, right? Maybe pull some to the side because you're like, hey, I don't know, man. This guy Shamsi makes money. He told me to buy this and it went up. Yeah, maybe it's time to peel a little back. But if you got that conviction, then, I think it's time to believe in something.
Amen. Amen to that. Sounds like you're preaching, my brother. Amen. That's all I can say.
Profit. What else we got? We're going to move on. You had some news about the ETF ETH here.
Yeah, man. So if I can just share my screen real quick. Franklin T, which is a 1.3 trillion dollar. Let me just get my facts straight. So Franklin T is a $1.5 trillion asset management fund or asset management company, or whatever you want to call it. They're the likes of BlackRock, and they have just tried to file for an Ethereum ETF. Now, we saw what happened with Bitcoin when there was a Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin ran stupidly high. Now, granted, on the day of the ETF, we fell about 25%, but after that, we're up 33%. So who cares, right? Here's the thing. IBIT has attracted, you guys can see this CoinDesk article, IBIT has attracted over $3.5 billion worth of Bitcoin in the past month. Ever since the 11th of Jan, the Bitcoin ETF was approved. And Fidelity has been $3 billion. So these are the type of funds that we're talking about now. And the funds aren't really what excites me. What excites me is the fact that supply is going to shrink. And these guys are leveraged to the T. Let me share another tweet with you guys to show you why this is actually so significant, and we're going to tie this into the whole Solana narrative. Let me just pull that up in a second. Here you go. Share this tab instead. Yeah, so can you guys see what Fred Cougar is saying over here? Okay, cool. So he says the great thing about the ETFs is that, there'll be more than $200 million. I think he actually means billion dollars worth of buying coming into the markets. And if you liken it to what FTX did with Solana and FTT, and this is probably a lot more comprehensible to a lot of you who've been in crypto and you understand the crypto narrative, but not necessarily the traditional finance narrative. The reason why the Ethereum ETF is big, probably because it's also going to be followed by Solana, and the altcoins under Ethereum are going to go, and there's going to be a supply shock. Put all that aside, FTX only ever raised $2 billion. And you've seen what they did with Solana. Solana did nearly a 250x from the bottom, or at least when I first saw Solana. So that's the sort of potential we're talking about. $8,000 for Ethereum, $10,000 for Ethereum. I don't think that's even going to be a conversation, because if you have this type of money coming in, and if you have Franklin T coming in, it's going to be a madness. And to top this all off, Franklin T is actually buying into the narrative. They posted on their so context. Their Twitter profile is Benny Franks, right? And Benny Franks has normal eyes, as you guys know, Benny Franks. But they posted Benny Franks with laser eyes. Benny Franks is now a fellow Terminator. So to me, this whole thing is super, super bullish. Is it going to get approved? I don't know. Probably later down the line, and probably going to need a little bit more backing from a lot of other companies for this to approve. But I think it's super bullish, and that's the way forward. And it bleeds into Solana, it bleeds into altcoins. So I would not fade this news either.
Yeah, I certainly like the chances of the ETH ETF if I was a betting man, and I guess we're all in crypto, so we're all betting men. Essentially, sort of to walk out on a legal branch, although I'm not a lawyer, so brace yourself. One of the big sort of reasons that it was so hard to push for a denial on the Bitcoin ETF is that there were already levered and short long futures contract ETFs available. And that is what Ethereum is in the same situation. So it's very hard for a court to push back to say, oh, you can trade this on leverage, or you can trade the futures contract, but for some reason spot is somehow of more risk. It makes no sense. And we've been seeing from at least the judge rulings around sort of the Coinbase case, some of the SEC brushing up against the courts, that seems to be the legal precedent. So it's going to be an uphill battle, in my opinion, in order to go and swat that down. That being said, it's going to be sort of the same cat and mouse game that we saw with Bitcoin, in my opinion. It's going to be hard to really see much pushback, but I'm sure Gensler is going to come out and talk about how ETH is funding terrorism and all the other sort of narratives that we've seen. So it'll be an interesting play, but if I was a guessing man, I'd say I know the ending.
Yeah, man, summed it up pretty nicely there.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you on that. Hey, you can't trade the underlying asset. It could be manipulated, but you can bet on the price going up or down. Like, come on. So I'm excited for that. I think we'll get that narrative eventually coming to fruition. But what do we got next, ZeHi?
Well, I wanted to get into this news about Off the Grid, which came out recently. Let me just pull that up right here. So, Off the Grid, Xboxers assemble Xbox Store ready to be added to your wish list. So, what do we think here? See, for me, what I'm looking at, we had Heroes of Mafia on our NFT Market Monday show for our 1-year anniversary a few weeks ago. And we were talking with them how amazing it was that they got on the App Store, right? Because that's not so easy to do these days with any games that have crypto integration. Them getting on the App Store, I believe, was one of the main reasons that that project just took off and just was a massive success. And that ultimately led to this major pump that we're seeing in all of the gaming sector. So now I think this one right here, Off the Grid, getting onto Xbox is a very equivalent move, because that, even for some of the gamers, like we had Stars on, a 12-year-old last week, he would be way more into these games if they're on the consoles that everybody's playing, right? That's a much different thing than these browser-based games and, games you got to sign in with your wallet or whatever. So for me, this is a huge one. It bodes well for the whole Avalanche gaming scene and for this project right there, Dr. Disrespect and whatnot. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I've only watched gameplay of Off the Grid, but I was super bullish on it when I seen it. I thought it was just super cool, kind of a little bit different. Had the cyberpunk feel to it. The fact that you could like interchange like parts of your body. I thought it was just like a different twist on something that I already loved. So I thought it was really cool. I shared it with some of my my little cousins, and I was like, hey, it's a crypto game coming out. Check it out. And they seem pretty hyped about it too. So speaking directly to your point, I think now that it's on console and it kind of makes it easier for the quote unquote normie gamer to come in and play it, is going to be like that smashing breakthrough moment we've been waiting for.
You've been talking to them at all, Nick, at all? That team?
So not directly, but what experience I can draw upon on this subject is we've been talking to a few games about their experience going through both the Google Play App Store, applying to be able to go into the Xbox program. And I've been pleasantly surprised. In 2023, especially mid 2023, the repeating narrative was that Apple didn't want to play ball, that Xbox was sort of a non-starter. I hadn't even heard them bring up Sony, so I'm assuming Sony was even harder. And that's really changed beginning this year, end of last year, where I'm getting much more positive stories in, okay, well, this is what Apple's looking for. So make sure that you're including these. You're not including sort of marketing that can't be backed up. And I've been hearing positive stuff out of the Xbox partnership as well, that they are willing to play ball, as similar sort of requirements. They're very consumer protective focused, so they don't want anything that really like feels scammy. You don't want to go out on a limb. So I think very positive in that fact. Just a general sort of comment that I think it's almost ironic that in order for us to sort of be viewed as progressing into the future, we have to be able to port the games onto something that's likely to die, which I think we've probably got 1 or 2 generations of console left. If you have a PC, there's really no reason to buy Xbox at this point. PlayStation's real big, like sort of like claim to fame is that they have, such strong IPs that are inside that walled garden. So, I'm one of those guys who thinks, we've got 1, maybe 2 consoles left in us, and then it's just all going to be cloud gaming. And it's either going to be pushed directly to your television or through your computer. So just an interesting sort of, tidbit on the general market that, in some ways it's like a little bit of a check of, hey, we're getting mainstream adoption. But at the end, it's more, I think, more wretch than vomit, in my opinion. Maybe I'll say it that way.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting way to put it. To be honest, I never thought of it that way. Thought of it of the way that we only have a couple of consoles left, and to a great extent, that's true, because you have smartphones now where you can just connect your controller and you're just good to go. So that's a very fair statement. I do want to ask though. So I watched what happened with Mavia, and I'm sure you guys did also. You know, the narrative just pumped all the way through, and you know they really capitalized on the fact that they have all these downloads and all these active users, and it worked perfectly fine for them. I mean, not perfectly fine; it worked amazingly for them. I do want to know, for something like this, do you think that it's genuinely a concrete play where you can bet on the economy of the game, or is it another sentiment, another narrative play where you just make money on it and then you wait until you know the hype plateaus and that's about it?
It's like sort of that old saying, like every lie has a kernel of truth, and I don't want to put like a negative connotation on it, but we tend to put the cart in front of the horse in our space. You saw it on some level with the Bitcoin ETF. You've seen it with almost every single announcement that any project has ever made that's been anticipated for months. We tend to, you know, at the end of the day, it's just the nature of speculation. At some point, you're pulling the gains from the future into the present. And at some point, it's not necessarily sustainable. None of that to take away from what Heroes of Mavia is building. I love the play from a game type. They're going mobile. I think that's, you know, one of the most like reliable paths forward. Like I like the type of game. The Clash of Clans Web3 niche is strong. But when you get this massive sort of like price appreciation, it's all marching to this sort of beat of the general up of the market, in my opinion. So it's always hard to say. You know, it's always the week before something pumps is always, you know, safer, so to speak. You know, not financial advice in the week after. You know, just sort of like a nature of the market. So hope that answers your question.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, you know, I also find it interesting that we use traditional, I say traditional markets very loosely, but traditional market metrics as, you know, an anchor for success for us, because we have to go back to Sony, we have to go back to Xbox, we have to go back to those platforms to say that, okay, we are finally growing outside of our industry, rather than saying that, okay, our very own native console, our very own native platform, our very own native, you know, whatever it is, infrastructure is growing in itself, rather than us having to outsource that audience and outsource that infrastructure and outsource that. So I think it's pretty interesting that, you know, we're still using that as a metric for success. Or even when we look at Bitcoin, people compare it to gold. Why do we have to compare it to gold? Why can't we just look at it as an isolated asset? But going back to what you said about the consoles, there is one token or one ecosystem that I feel like it's heating up, and you know, it's not necessarily being talked about in the mainstream, and that's good. I'm not mad at it. Beck is talking about it, Elliot's talking about it, but that's really it. And the price, I think we saw the price earlier. It's just been going absolutely bonkers. But Superverse, which was Super Farm, is now Superverse. They are absolutely going bonkers, I think. And they dropped this tweet this week. Was it a couple of days ago? Yeah, it was yesterday actually. And they highlighted Epic. So it was an epic start to the week because they're pumping. And if you look at the background, this is a Fortnite background. I think it's one of the Fortnite wallpapers, if not a Fortnite world. So Superverse hinting at Epic, a potential partnership with Epic. You never know, because Epic in itself, Epic's, I think, launcher is known for partnering with a lot of crypto games, and a lot of crypto games use Epic in the past. And you know, they're hinting at Fortnite, they're hinting at what's happening in there in the ecosystem. Beck is very bullish. So I feel like one of the games, or one of the ecosystems that we're referring to in crypto as, you know, something that could break out of the scene, or the next thing that could break out of the scene, I'm putting a lot of my money under behind Super. So I don't know what you guys have to say about that.
Well, first off, I just want to say, you know, with all this talk on Super and all this action, it seems highly likely that he's going to have to jump on our NFT Market Monday show. You know, he might even jump on Degen Digest, man. I mean, what do you think? You know, getting a blessing from the angelic overlord? I don't know. I think we're pretty deserving with all this Super talk. But anyways, go on. What do you guys got?
Yeah, the Fortnite play is one that we've been definitely seeing being run in the space. We obviously have Shrapnel creating their whole sort of game inside of Fortnite. We just got that big announcement from Disney that they're collaborating. And what we're seeing, I think, is a lot of people waking up to the fact that Fortnite right now is the metaverse for the largest amount of, I'll say at least Westerners. I don't know Asian gaming well enough to say that that's the biggest worldwide, but certainly in the West. That is where we're seeing interoperability. That's where you can go and hit a Kamehameha and go and blast like a, soon to be Disney character off the screen. So that is, the dream that we were all talking about a year or two ago. So I think a lot of it is sort of riding that momentum, integrating on a winner. And in some ways, the metaverse, or I think I was talking to Swagner of how it's more going to be like the multiverse. And I think this is just an example. I mean, if Super does end up in some way merging or collaborating or partnering with Fortnite, I mean, it's huge for Super, huge for our angelic overlord, and really just huge for the space. So certainly I will be watching this green with envy, waiting for a retracement where I capitulate to the upside and perhaps don't want to miss this entire run.
Yeah,
nice. Man. Well, keep an eye on that one. Anything more you wanted to add, Shamsi?
No, that's all. People often say buy low, sell higher, but this is the time to buy high, sell higher. So just keep that in the back of your mind. You don't want to miss the bus. Not financial advice, obviously. That's all.
Right on. Well, there was a few weeks ago where, Shamsi, you weren't able to make it. It was just about Woodja and I. And we were hyping up the Solana mobile, the Sega 2. And just as an update, they have now just reached their 100,000 pre-orders in less than 30 days. Many people were doubting it. I saw a comment from Firestorm after our video there where he was just like, oh yeah, people would buy a pile of shit if it was going to offer an airdrop. He's dissing it pretty hardcore. But I mean, what do we think here? This thing made it. So hopefully we're actually going to get something for those of us who put in an order. Any thoughts on that? But would you?
Oh, I mean, you guys know I'm bullish on the Solana ecosystem. I'm bullish on decentralized infrastructure plays. I think the chapter 2, while I already have a Saga phone, so I didn't get a chapter 2 because my fiance might have looked at me like I was even crazier for another device as I sit here with 3 in front of me now and multiple screens. So I didn't think I was quite necessary for me to go for that route. But I mean, I was a little skeptical. Would they get to the 100,000? To see them actually get there is kind of really cool. I know it's going to be a lot of waiting. The phone won't ship, or the device, I should say, won't ship until 2025. So definitely going to be a waiting period there. We'll see if the hype can continue. I was actually in Discord earlier today, and I was talking to a fellow S2, and they were saying, man, Saga's really dead. And I had to just kind of give a little LOL SMH there, because I was like, bro, you were talking 30 days removed from every single person on crypto Twitter talking about how they wish they had a Saga phone. I know the space does move fast, but it seems like people are already starting to fade it. I think that when you see these real numbers right here, it kind of shows that developers are still going to be developing for some type of mobile experience, and that more users will be coming into the space, going to Solana as that consumer chain. So I think overall it's just bullish. Bullish.
Yeah, and there's only less than 48 hours now. Sorry there, Shamsi. I was just saying that there's just less than 48 hours now. Anybody else wants to jump in? The pre-orders are going to close in just under 2 days now. What you got, Shamsi?
How much is one of those things again?
$450.
$450. That's not bad, actually. I had FOMO a couple of days ago. I had to buy one of these things, Tim Cook. But I might have to sell it and buy a Saga phone. So let me put that in my diary real quick. Yeah, carry on.
Oh yeah, it's already on mine. It's something I definitely want to pick up. So I'm gonna try and sneak in before that the pre-order closes. I think there's just a lot of upside. The Solana ecosystem has such a strong narrative. It's been performing well, and sort of I think a lot of these Solana developers are going to take Honeyland's lead and just realize, hey, if you're looking for a dedicated group of users in the Solana ecosystem, like why wouldn't you reward those people? So obviously the people who ordered the first one were very happy that they did. Maybe the second one, is as long as this market keeps on trucking, might have a little payoff at the end as well.
I'll believe it. Right on. We're going to jump over to this other topic that's been big in the news this last week. We're talking about this new concept of the ERC 404 tokens. Who feels qualified to give a little intro on that one? Shamsi, you up for it?
Look, I read a whole bunch of tweets that explained pizza analogies, so I can try explain it to you. But I don't think it's going to be accurate. So don't, if you have an exam tomorrow on ERC 404, I'm not your guy. So what I understand so far is this tech is mixing the fungibility and non-fungibility that we have on our hands with NFTs and the tokens that sit on chain. So let's say you have a pizza analogy, and you cut that pizza into 4 slices. If you have a slice of pizza, you own the pizza. Well, you own pizza, right? Not the pizza, but you own pizza. Now, that slice in itself can be chopped into pieces. If I have all the pieces of one slice, then I own pizza. Now, let me bring this to a more gaming-based explanation, if that makes sense, because I don't even know what I'm talking about. Z, could you pull the tweet on the gaming, the gated content, the JM tweet that I linked earlier? So basically, the idea is along these lines. The idea is one of the benefits that you can have as a gaming project or a creator is, let's say that you want to have a town hall for your NFT community, but you want to open it to the general public. What the general public can do, because of fractionalization of that asset, you can maintain the exclusivity of your project because there's that NFT in place, but you can allow the general public to purchase tokens that are linked to that NFT and have access to an AMA. So this is basically what I'm talking about. So you can have a town hall which costs you a piece of a slice. So if you have a piece of a slice, you can enter, but in order to be in the ranks, up in the chats with all the holders, you have to have a whole slice. So in order to interact with the community, you don't need, you eliminate that barrier to entry for you to buy that entire slice by being able to just buy a piece and have a little bit of taste into the community. So this is my understanding of it. I don't know what you guys understand, but I'm still a noob. So, take it away if you want to enlighten me, please.
I was just going to add, so I used to play around with token fractionalization like a little bit, because when Bored Apes were popping off, when punks were popping off, like obviously, I had a little bit of FOMO. I wanted to get in there, but, I might not have had those funds for that Bored Ape or that punk price, right? And so there used to be a platform that I found out from D's, shout out to D's, and I think it was called Fractal. And basically you could pair your NFT, right? And you could put up your NFT and get a certain amount of, let's just call it NFT token from it. And then you could put that NFT token in a liquidity pool with USDC, ETH, Solana, whatever it may be. And that's like how they were doing fractionalizations previous. The cool thing about the ERC 404 standard is that now that fractionalization, instead of using a third-party service to do it, it just comes natively, right? So basically right out of the box, you can fractionalize, whatever NFT that you're going for. And so it just kind of creates that new, unique experience for someone, kind of opens up different possibilities. And I think that's what people are getting really excited about, to see like, okay, like what can we do? How can we gamify this? How can we make it, the hot topic of crypto for the moment, at least, right? And so, like I said, we've seen fractionalization before, but I think now that it's being able to be done natively is kind of like the big aha moment. And we're probably going to see a lot of these teams try to implement some type of new gamification into doing that. So I would just say, the pizza reference was spot on, Shamsi. But just for me, it was like easier to be like, okay, like I get it. I can have a piece of this. If I can't afford the whole thing, I can have a piece. And instead of me going to a third party and needed that third party to verify and create that LP and create that fractionalization, now I know the team that created this project can do it right here, right from the start, fresh out of the box. So I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways. Have you guys got involved with any of these tokens, though? I saw that Pandora went absolutely crazy over the past 8 days.
Yeah, it's 171% up. It's what we're showing here. I have not gotten in any of these either. You guys, Nick?
No, I haven't gotten into this space. I'm lactose intolerant, so they lost me on the pizza.
So am I, brother.
When lactose drop. But that, the underlying methodology is solid. Like, I don't buy the S&P 500, I buy the SPY. People are always going to be able to want to get into things that they cannot afford and be able to get a little piece of the pie if they think it's going up. We've seen it with real estate holdings. It only makes sense that it starts to get applied to assets in the digital world, where all is required is sort of that extraction, or sort of that like removal from the whole, that digital enabling of the asset to be split. So, this was the first time this popped up on my radar, but how it lands on my ear, it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. And I mean, to those people that are, skeptical, I would say that if we've learned anything from previous technologies that sort of try and disrupt or try and add additional functionality to NFTs or tokens or the blockchain in general, it doesn't hurt for you to throw a small bag in it. If you look at BRC20, so many people faded BRC20 at the start, but there were those gains, and I'm sure there still are, those gains that you could have made along the way, and 10, 20x a lot of your money in a lot of places. So I think even if this is not a mainstream narrative that gets adopted, it's still a hot enough topic right now for you to try and make some money on it. And it's set to be, ERC 404 is not like ERC 20 or 721. It's set to be an experimental and unofficial method right now, because it hasn't been submitted for review into the Ethereum improvement proposal. But that may be a way for you to say to yourself that, okay, I'm early. This is my sign to enter, because maybe a lot of the bigger funds or a lot of the more serious investors are waiting for that approval because they're a little too scared to invest right now. So you have to assess where you are in the market. It's pretty early. And if you believe that this tech is going to go further, which I think it has a lot of use cases, and it's another narrative that can run, I think throw a moon bag in there and see how it goes in a year's time. I don't think it's going to hurt you. Not financial advice.
Yeah, no, I think you were spot on there talking about ordinals, right? It's like something new that hasn't came out, it's been seen, but not again to that natively right out of the package. And I think, just like everything else, people are going to try to, make as much money as they can, as quick as they can on that. ZeHI was just sharing a good article written up by Bankless, and kind of touches on Pandora, which is like the top ERC 404 project, and kind of how it works. And if you buy one entire token or just a fraction of the token, what that access can get. So maybe we can link that in the show notes and you guys can check that out. It's really quick. I'll jump into this quick topic on some of the stock market plays, right? Some crypto adjacent plays that I thought had been doing really well. I think, everyone on this call is up to speed with some of those things. Most people that are in crypto are, but I got to shout out CLSK, man. CleanSpark. They just had their earnings call, and they absolutely crushed their earnings call. And I thought that was phenomenal, because the price has been crushing it as well. Like, the price dipped down from about $12 down to $6, and now just recently pumped back up to about $16. In their year-over-year growth, they're up 165%, which is crazy. They're doing $73 million in revenue, and their adjusted EBITDA is $69.1 million. Over 800 million in total assets. They did a lot of kind of building throughout the bear and really acquiring some companies to make their mining more efficient. And I just wanted to see, like, are you guys in any crypto adjacent plays? Have you found any Bitcoin mining stocks or any crypto stocks kind of on the side that have made you be like, this is interesting? Or is it just crypto strictly for you guys at this moment?
So I've dabbled on the stock side, mostly for hedging. So being stateside and all my Bitcoin being held either on a ledger or inside of Coinbase, it doesn't really give you the option to write options against it. So what I would use MicroStrategy unsuccessfully as a hedge, and the miners were another like interesting opportunity. I think they still could provide potentially some good hedging as things get like super pumped up. There's just a little bit more fear to the downside just because of the halving and the fact that their cost is going to go up, or really their revenue is going to go down with their cost staying the same. Their average Bitcoin price in order to be profitable will jump up or double. So the crypto stock space has been super interesting, and any degen who got in on that over the last, let's say 18 months, probably made a pretty fat bag. They've been in a lot of ways. MicroStrategy, Mara, a bunch of those miners have all essentially given leveraged Bitcoin upside, or exposure, I should say. One of the interesting dynamics that I don't think we've seen fully flush out is before there were the Bitcoin ETFs, you needed a Bitcoin proxy. And if you weren't a degen like us and you didn't operate on chain, you really only could get in on these miners or MicroStrategy or ARK. So it's going to be interesting to see how much of their value was as a direct Bitcoin proxy, and if people are going to move to less expensive structures, being the Bitcoin ETF. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how those dynamic flows. But, if you can figure out the way that it's going to flow, I think there's certainly going to be some profitable opportunities for those who play it right.
Man, you hit the nail on the head with that one, because that's exactly was my thinking. I was like, all right, now that we're seeing these US spot Bitcoin ETF inflows, right? Like iShares now 139% yesterday, Fidelity 96%. Versus like something like Grayscale, right? There were people who were getting exposure that way. Now that people have more options, maybe that takes away from some of these mining stocks. Maybe that takes away from some of these other crypto routes, quote unquote crypto routes that people are trying to get exposure to, now that they can get the underlying asset within that ETF. So I think that's a really great call there. Shamsi, I know you've been checking out the space. What do you think?
Yeah, man, to be honest, I have zero exposure, sadly, to the space. I've only been, native crypto 100%. Also because the bulk of my liquidity is in crypto, and it's just a barrier to entry for me. And I guess I'm lazy, which is very bad. But I've seen a lot of people speak about it on the timeline. A lot of people that I follow. I know RPH mentions it quite a lot. Elio was also trying to get into it. So it's definitely a pretty hot space. And if you want to go off of what the mainstream retail might be more comfortable investing in, I think they might still be comfortable investing in things that still they have access to. They don't have to open a wallet, things like that. Maybe they have money in the stocks already and they just want to move them around, something like that. So, I think it's a pretty cool opportunity, and I would put some money behind it. Me personally, I'm so deep into the altcoins, shitcoins, meme coins world that I'm not looking that way. I don't think that I want to diversify my focus, but I mean, 165% year-on-year growth in revenue, what you showed me, these are crypto numbers, my friend. These aren't, traditional stock market numbers. So if that's a proxy for what's going to happen, it's looking like a madness right now. So it's looking bullish.
I definitely agree there. We'll see if it continues. We'll see how the general market feels. I think that might also give us like kind of a little bit of a playbook. When you see some of the retail flows going into certain like either flights to safety or in or out of different assets, I think it can give us kind of a quick heads up. And I guess the last thing I was going to touch on was just, speaking of stocks doing well that are crypto adjacent, Coinbase has been absolutely crushing it. Their earnings call comes out this Thursday. So just a heads up to anybody that's catching this before then, keep an ear out for that. Coinbase ran up to about 190, pulled back to like 115 area. And now I think it's sitting around 140. So definitely think it's a lot still going on there. They're international. They're doing the daily revenues from their international spot and derivatives platforms have been broken. Like the all-time high volume has been broken consistently for the past 5 days. So if that's anything to say, it shows that people are definitely interested in crypto and looking to get exposure wherever they can. And Coinbase is still one of those main places to do so. So, all right, ZeHI, I bored us out, man. I bored us out with like the old stock market. Here's some exposure you can do. I figured I would give some contrast to my normal shitcoin degen ways. So let some people know I can read out there.
Nice pivot, man, from your shitcoin bag, really. But that's some good stuff for sure. Now I think we're going to transition into our NT News gaming focus, taking advantage of having Nick on. Last week we had a deep dive into Mavia, and we had a nice guest showing us his gameplay there. Today, Nick, you're going to show us a little bit about Pulsar. Why don't you give us some overview of why you think this is a significant project that we should be paying attention to as you start to play this this gameplay video?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with just sort of a high level overview. Right now, I'm just selecting a land. There's multiple lands that you're going to be able to choose from, different environments. You'll be able to like purchase the lands. So it's an RTS game. Really, like the things that really drew me to it is first off, I'm a big RTS player. So those were some of the first games that really captured my attention. So Battle for Middle-earth, Battle for Middle-earth 2, Rise of the Witch King, Total War. You know, I've been really jamming on that since I was quite young, and I will still sort of come to the realization that I've been sitting at my keyboard and the sun's coming up, and I just sunk another night into Total War. So you know, to be able to have the sort of game merge with my crypto interests, you know, it hooked me. For the more general population and the more sort of general population of crypto degens, really like it's building on AVAX. There's an opportunity through play to be able to get access to their token, which has not had its TGE. And as you can see here, I mean, the game looks polished. It's, you know, in a very playable state compared to, you know, a lot of the early play tests that we get. So, you know, to give a little overview of what's going on now. So you select a land, there's NFT land that people will be able to purchase. And it's sort of a standard RTS game. So you'll see it's resource driven on the top, starting from the left. You've got Pulsar, which is actually, as its namesake, going to also be the token for the ecosystem. And that is something you mine in the game. And so I've heard the devs talk about this. They were inspired by Bitcoin, where Bitcoin didn't do a giant airdrop. Bitcoin was mined by supporting the ecosystem, by supporting the transactions. And in this way, it's very similar, where instead of just doing a bunch of stuff and, you know, depending on how opaque it is, you might be realizing you're like, oh, I got to complete those missions, or maybe it's how long I've been a player, and that's what you're rewarded for. In this, you are actually mining that token, which will then be airdropped to you. So if you look on my screen right now, on this particular instance, I've got 5.7 Pulsar, and that's what would be dropped to you. So I'm actually mining that inside of the game. And then you've got the standard in-game currencies. So right now I'm sending my team over to go and mine gas. There's also minerals, and then there's a biological organic material. And so this was a fresh instance that I spun up so that you guys could kind of see how things get built out. You're building your standard units in order to go and mine. You've got, this is your sort of main base. Also, for people who might be trying out, this is sort of the meta right now, because your little miners will go back and forth to your main base. So I just stick it right next to the Pulsar. And that way it goes just quick back and forth. Then you've got these little mobile depots, which will allow you to kind of have your mining units pull that gas and drop it into a depot, and then that'll accumulate and then do a much quicker trip back to your main base. And so this is sort of the basic mechanic of the game. You're building out your city, which you can kind of see in the top right there. Those are your refineries. So you go and you mine whatever you're mining, either the in-game that you're going to use to upgrade your units, or you're going to go and grab that Pulsar. These big circular structures are refineries. And so the ratios all develop. And yeah, guys, definitely feel free to jump in on any sort of like questions as we go over this. Shamsi, you got one?
Yeah. I just quickly wanted to ask regarding the mining. So I see that you've gamified the mining process, and then I'm assuming the tokens come out that way. So I just wanted to know, I think you kind of answered my question, but I just wanted to know, how do people earn or mine these tokens? It's just via gameplay, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as of right now, there's going to be a few different ways that the tokens are released. You know, if you were to look at the pie chart, I'm sure some are being allocated to the team, some to strategic partners, as we're all familiar with reviewing tokenomics. But the majority of them are going to be mined straight from the game. And so you're going to either be able to go to public lands that have a certain amount of Pulsar, which is this red jagged resource. And here's the other cool thing while we're scanning over this. This is a different player. So this is a multiplayer game. And so this guy who I don't know or gal is doing their own thing, mining, trying to get their own little piece of the Pulsar. And you'll actually be able to purchase land, or some people already have purchased land, and each of those will have a different layout of resources. And so that's how the Pulsar ends up getting released, is they sell a certain amount of land that has a limited amount of Pulsar on it that can be pulled out each day. Because what will happen is, as you're mining these resources, you'll actually deplete them. And so a certain amount of Pulsar or minerals or gas gets pulled out, and then that resource is no more. Cool little mechanic, we've got an alien nest right here, is as these resources are depleted, at a certain point, if you've pulled too much resources out of the map, you're going to trigger an alien attack. And that's going to act as a pushing force to release aliens out, fuck up your troops, fuck up your buildings, put the kibosh on your mining efforts and sort of slow that down. As you can see, they're quite tough as I'm getting my ass kicked. And you'll see throughout the gameplay, I actually had to get a little tricky with the strategy in order to overcome this. But really cool mechanic in order to bring your token to the marketplace, where it's not just airdrop, it's something that you're actually chiseling out of the game, figuring out, okay, what's the new meta? How do I stack up these resources? And the cards themselves, which you'll see indicated in the bottom right, you'll actually, each player who wants to come and join, it's free to play. You get dropped essentially a starting deck of all the tools that you need, and they're level 1 common. And if you wanted to invest in the game, you could purchase uncommon, rare, Genesis is sort of their top of the line, and that'll all have increased stats. So if you wanted to really lean into the mining, maybe you stack and get more miners, and you get better miners and better refineries, which is fun. You kind of figure out, where's the bottleneck in your system. Are you mining a lot of Pulsar but not able to refine it? Are you, is your refinery keeping up but you actually need to mine more? Are these aliens kicking you back to Kingdom Come? So, it's a fun sort of mechanic, a lot of like rock, paper, scissors, classic RTS gameplay. And you can sort of screw people over too. If you notice that alien nest, if you were nefarious, you could go and pop up and trigger one of those alien nests next to somebody and actually set them back on their Pulsar. So right now, the team has released in this Pulsar Miner Mania event, they increased the emissions of Pulsar by 5x, and they're actually giving away 15 million Pulsar through this. And at last checking, we're only, I think, less than 5% of the way through this. This has got 2,800 people on their Discord. So it's early days. And to see a game that's this refined at this stage, is certainly something that's exciting me. And it's a little anti-whale in the aspect that you have to play the game. There are server resets every night, so you got to go and put your players back to work when you wake up in the morning or wherever that falls in your time zone, as opposed to some of the games that we've noticed where there's a very clear way to sort of develop a whale and corner this market. Let me put it this way. I put a lot of thinking into that for a couple months before I started talking about this game, and I wasn't able to really figure out a way to do that. So I'm just playing with everybody else. I've got, a few different instances of, I've got my PC, my Mac, they've got Mac support. So just trying to get as much of my piece of the pie as possible. But, I've been going on for a while here, so definitely want to open it up if you guys have any questions or sort of general comments on it.
Well, it seems like they're really taking advantage of the play to airdrop kind of like quote unquote meta going around, and the fact that it does reset every night actually gives everyone kind of that same fair shot. I think that's super dope, because to be honest, I'm not too familiar with games like this, right? Like, I am the most basic bitch when it comes to gaming. Oh, you have NBA 2K, let's do it. Oh, you play Madden? Me too. So I've tried, as I got into Web3 gaming more, I've tried to understand and play some of these strategy games better. So this is maybe one I'll give it a shot. You know what I mean? I always got crushed in Halo because everyone was too early to it, but this seems like something I can be early to with only, less than 3,000 members in the Discord right now. So if you're watching this, make sure you're checking it out and jumping in there. ZeHI, what are you thinking about this game?
I'm just wondering, on the same lines of what you're talking about, how easy this game is to get into, how easy it is to figure out, for somebody who's not used to this kind of game. Would you say it's like pretty user friendly, or you got to kind of have some grasp of how to play these kind of games?
If you have never played an RTS game before, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, because I've played them my entire life, and it still took a while to kind of figure out the mechanics. That being said, their team members, their devs are in the Discord every single day with Mother Teresa level patience at answering the same dumb question over and over and over again for new members. Now, at a certain point, that doesn't scale. They do have a tutorial right off of the main menu, which gets you almost all the way there to being sufficient, certainly enough to be able to get your piece of like the Pulsar mining. And right now what we're looking at is actually dungeon play. So you can actually bring your squad, your military units down into the dungeons, and you get paid by their government to go and clear out these alien nests. And so all of this, you're leveling up, you're getting rewarded for resources. All of these individual characters, relate to a card. They get cards for your buildings as well. So you're leveling those up, and that becomes sort of the sink for the in-game resources and sort of pushes you into these dungeons to continue to be able to level up, because, a level 1 refinery isn't going to be able to process nearly as much as a level 10 or a level 20, and the same with the miners, and it all sort of applies there. And then you get the added level of, hey, if you go onto the website, you can purchase uncommon levels, and they'll sort of have a certain amount of those.
And is that how the cards work? Like you were saying, not in this video, but I saw in another one on the bottom right, there is like that stacking. Like, could you touch on that one more time? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, they've got them divided up in between your units and your buildings. And essentially they'll earn experience, at least the units will. So the miners will earn experience mining. The fighting units will earn experience by fighting. That'll give you the eligibility to level up using that little hammer in the bottom right corner. And essentially that will stay persistent. So if you have bought Genesis cards, or you got in on that original mint, or you bought rare cards, or you're just using your starting deck, I haven't put $1 into this game. I'm using just the common cards that I was given for setting this up. You'll level those up, and it's the test server, so there's been a reset. But once it's up and fully running and we're on mainnet, I'd imagine that wouldn't be the case. And so you're trying to level up your cards, and then they've got a marketplace. So I'd imagine, it'll have that sort of like similar Web3 mechanic where you're leveling up your cards and then able to sell them on the market. But I'm not positive on that, so I don't want to misquote.
Nice. Thank you.
No,
yeah, if I could just jump in, I'm fucking with these aliens. Firstly, let's start there. They sound like a couple of degens, a bunch of degens. So that to me is what's really interesting. But what I do want to know, though, from a player interaction perspective, because you showed us somebody else's gameplay. What's the player interaction experience like? What's that like? Because I mean, again, like what Wood just said, put FIFA in front of me, put 2K in front of me. That's my go-to. But the more I look at this, the more I want to play it, to be honest.
Yeah, the good thing is the risks aren't high because you can just sort of like play for free. See if I can find where that other player was, but actually I'll just use the map. So if you look in the top left of the screen, I am this sort of like light blue, teal, like light bluish color. And then we've got orange, we've got green, we've got this other off green, we've got pink in the corner. So those are all different players. Interaction is relatively low. It does give this sort of like real multiplayer feel that, as I'm going to different resources, I'll be like, oh, fuck, this guy's already posted here. And very likely going to tap this resource too quickly. Because it's sort of a balance of how often am I going to check this universe that I want to be able to set and forget as much as I can if we're going to go and hop on a pod or an AMA. But you do have the ability to like sort of like text through this little bottom left. There's like a text drop where you can communicate with the other players. as the game expands, I think it's going to become more and more relevant. It's got sort of a pixel-esque landowner system where if I were, let's just say, own this land, then I'm setting who can play on it, and I'm setting how much of a tax I'm actually taking from their resource generation. So as we get moved off of testnet, definitely something that I think the multiplayer facet's going to get more and more important. You're going to be able to do dungeons with your buddies and then eventually sort of control who's on your land. So let's say, if the four of us wanted to conquer the Pulsar universe, it's like, okay, you know what, ZeHI, you focus on gas, but you're going to hit the minerals. Pulsar is going to be Shamsi, and I've got the military units, and I'm going to make sure we keep these aliens out of our building. So super, super, I'm sure it's coming across in my voice. Definitely something I'm stoked on.
Yeah, man, you're getting me hype.
Pretty fun. What about the marketplace and getting the other NFTs that are part of this game? Is that just right in the game, or is there some other marketplaces they're working with?
Yeah, so currently they've got their own native marketplace. So they're building on Avalanche. So I'm believing this is all on Avalanche subnet. This is all being built. Cool little fly thing. They did on their testnet 160 million transactions. I believe that was in the last year. To put that in perspective, I believe Gala's number of transactions over the last couple years is 180 million. Now, they're doing it on mainnet, so that's not apples to apples, but should give you a bit of a feel for the scale. So right now they've got their own marketplace. I'm sure it would be able to be, I think long-term the plan is for it to be able to be traded on Avalanche on their standard marketplaces. But right now they've done a few of the Genesis drops, which have been the most limited. That's been sort of like whitelist for early adopters. And right now you can go to their website and purchase like rare, uncommon cards and use like USDC or AVAX.
Awesome. I'm wondering, because I've seen a post that you did maybe a month or so back where you were showing all these different games that you were doing, playing and farming on, which, does sound a lot more fun than some of these other farming mechanisms of just tweeting out bullshit or whatever. What are some other games that you've been putting some time into?
Yeah, I didn't. It's definitely like an area I've been pretty fascinated with. I mean, the 6-year-old Pokemon player in me is just fascinated by the fact that I'm being rewarded for playing video games. So that nuance, that glow hasn't completely dimmed even with the years. Pixels is one. I didn't get in early. Oh yeah, Justin, that's the pop doll Master Chief right there. That was a good gift from a buddy for Christmas. For a while, we were getting each other pop dolls.
Quick side note. I'm sorry to cut you off, but the new Halo show, I think it's kind of fire. I was going back and forth on Twitter with somebody about this, but if you haven't seen it, check out the new Halo show. Some people love it, some people don't. I don't know as much lore, so I think maybe that's why I like it so much.
I'm like a big Halo guy, like played them all, obviously, that sort of speaks to it. And so a big Halo lore guy, played their RTS game, Halo Wars, played all the different Halos multiple times. And so I made a commitment by like episode 1. I'm like, this is not the Halo universe I know, but this is a cool adventure in like sort of with all this lore I like. And so I'm like, whatever this is its own thing. And like, I'm getting to watch Master Chief smash grunts and smash elites in live action. So like, what am I going to bitch about?
I heard that. Sorry to derail everything there.
No, an important derailment. And I'm excited to watch the season 2. ZeHI, to your question. So Pixels is one. I didn't get there that early. Love those little like farm sims. I think that's another like really strong Web3 use case. I mean, you're just generating resources, you're buying items, just fits so well with the general ethos. So their berry portion is probably a little bit similar to Pulsar in the fact that like it's a resource being generated from the game that they've put a lot of thought into, and then making sure that it's not too inflationary. And then like the pixels drop itself was a little bit more like classic gaming airdrop, where it was based on, okay, did you own an NFT? Did you complete these missions? How long had you been playing? Those were a couple of like the metrics around that. So those two, Pixels and Pulsar, have definitely been sort of like my main focus. And then, I was grinding that Shrapnel event. I was getting I had some game footage prepared, but I was like, oh my God, I cannot make the audience watch me just get killed 60 times with like 2 extractions. So a lot of good opportunities to, have some fun and, hopefully be rewarded for it.
Awesome. Well, this is great stuff. You've been doing such killer work on the AMA team there with Ben Gothard, and in all those shows, you got these special guests, top guests in the whole field. But you're definitely a wealth of knowledge in the gaming industry, crypto gaming industry. So it's really cool to have you on here and to just give you a forum to share what you got. So that's something we like to do here, Degen Digest, get some of the citizens with all the experience and knowledge that they have, and share it with the people here. So Thanks so much for jumping on with us. And we do hope, you become a regular guest here, maybe monthly or something like that. You want to come and share what you're up to.
Oh, I would love to. And just a huge thank you to you guys for having me on. The news team has such a special place in my heart. I remember reading the original issue that came out. We didn't know shit. We're in an empty Discord. We're scared. We're in shell shock. And you guys were a big beacon and a glue that kept the community informed and together. So, it's a little surreal to be on here with you guys. And really, really enjoyed it and would love to be on any time that you guys would like me to come in and weigh in on things. Would always be happy to do that. And, big fan of NT Media, and between what you guys are building and what we're trying to build, and Block Editor, gaming Illuminati, they better control the media. So we're doing a pretty goddamn good job of that. So yeah, just to wrap up, just big thank you to each and every one of you.
Awesome,
Pleasure's
man. Yeah, the
ours.
people are going to find out eventually that what we're doing here. The audience is going to start growing. We can feel it, as the masses start making their way in, and they need some folks that know what they're doing to point the way. We'll be there for them. Shamsi, what you got?
No, I was just going to say, just even outside of Pulsar, I think it was such an organic discussion. If you want to hop on any of the crazy narratives popping off any of the other week, open invite to you. We'd love to have you on for, even a segment or the whole show. I love this conversation. So yeah, just thanks again for hopping on.
Yeah, what is it? Iron sharpens iron or something like that? Like, Nick, I knew you were coming on, and I was like, all right, let me double check. Let me read everything, because if you don't know, Cryptoetheus has always been on top of everything and doesn't leave any stone unturned. So appreciate you coming on, brother. Thank you.
Right on. So now I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for NT News, Virtue Poker. They've been killing it here. We've been having some good fun with them, partnering up with them. They did a great tournament where they're bringing all these different communities together, not just bringing people together to make communities, but now that we got tournaments where you got people like from Neo Tokyo and Rug Radio and This Thing of Ours all coming together to compete in these tournaments for some big prizes and some good fun. Definitely check them out if you haven't. You usually either need to have one of these NFTs that are working with them, or you just take some of their token, the VPP token, and then you can get into quite a bit of their tournaments. They're having one today, I believe. A few friends of ours were jumping in on that had about 2,000 in prizes, 2,000 USDC in prizes. So definitely check them out. And they will be a special guest next week, as we're going to do a deep dive into GambleFi. So we'll have Ryan, the founder of Virtue Poker, on, and we're hoping to get another special guest, hoping that Hustlepedia can find his way over there as well, because he's pretty big on the GambleFi insider news, and he's a good friend of NT News, Neo Tokyo. So looking forward to that one next week. The only other thing I did want to share, because who knows how it's going to go next week, we'll be able to hopefully give a good report of what's happening. But check this out, man. Later tonight, I have a moon mission in effect here. Been working with these guys.
And he's not talking about being high.
No, that happens probably as well tonight, but in most nights. But this one here, we're talking about the International Lunar Observatory Association, this group I've been working with for 17 years now. We have been working on a mission to put an observatory to do both communications and observation from the surface of the moon. And we have put together a precursor mission, which is going on this lander, this moon lander, built by Intuitive Machines. It's in this program with NASA, where NASA's trying to get these commercial industry to start helping to do lunar exploration and deliver payloads. So there's a bunch of NASA payloads. There's even this NFT project by artist Jeff Koons on the lander as well. It's supposed to land in just a few hours. So by the time this goes up, we'll see. I mean, it's launching on SpaceX. They're pretty good with their launches. So, it should be good on the launching. The landing is tough. Only 5 countries have done so successfully. No commercial mission has ever done that successfully. And this will be the first time in 52 years that a U.S. moon landing has occurred. So if we do make it, right, we're trying to soft land, because a hard landing doesn't work so well. You tend to
you
blow
and Jerome
up,
Powell both.
Nice one. Well, yeah, I'm hoping to get we're going to get some images on the way to the moon. We're going to get some images just before they land. So we should get some images either way, but we're hoping to land. And I'm still hoping to do some cool NFT project with some of these images we get from that mission. So check back here. Pretty cool to have an NT citizen going to the moon, not just with their crypto bags, but with a little telescope.
Yeah,
so,
man. I think from an NFT perspective, it's a pretty cool piece of memorabilia to have. And hats off to you. Every time I just forget that you have a genuine, real super grown man job that you are very good at also. So big shout out to ZeHI on that. He's been working on this for a very long time, and he doesn't really talk about it much. He just, just by the way, it's not necessary. We can get into Bitcoin, but just by the way. So he's very nonchalant about it, but it's a pretty big deal, and congrats to you and everybody on the team.
All right, I'm going to hit the gongs while, you guys can take us out with some closing thoughts.
All right.
Anything, Shamsi? Anything?
Go ahead. Look, I'm staring at $450 for the Solana Saga phone right now in front of me. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking at. You take it away as I digest this purchase.
All right, and that's it, and that's all, folks. We appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you being here. Next stop, we'll see you on the moon or on the next AMA with Cryptoetheus. Much love to you and the family. Until then, peace out.